You doing all right? It's wonderful to see you. The scripture chosen for this last Sunday for Jason and Karla is Psalm 121, and Cheryl just read it for us. It's part of a group of 15 Psalms, 120 to 134. They're called the Psalms of Ascent. The book of Deuteronomy commanded the people of Israel to travel to Jerusalem 3 times a year to make a holy pilgrimage. 3 times a year. One was to celebrate Passover when Egypt let go of Israel and Israel went on to the Promised Land. The second is called the Festival of Weeks. It's 7 weeks later, which is the beginning of the early harvest in late spring. And the third is in the fall, the last harvest, called the Festival of Booths. These psalms were written to be the songs sung by the people as they were traveling from all over the country to go to Jerusalem, which is set high upon a hill. From where does my help come? My help comes from the maker of heaven and earth. It doesn't come from the hills, but it comes from the one who made the hills. So it seemed right to have ourselves kind of centered on this one who gives us help through all the transitions. When somebody's ready to go on a pilgrimage, ready to take a journey, ready for the next chapter in their lives. So that's what we're going to talk about here. You both okay?
Yep, doing fine. How about you?
Doing all right? Karl Barth said that joy is the simplest form of gratitude. And Chesterton said that gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. So on this, getting to this point, ready for the journey to begin, this next chapter in your life of retirement and you going to Annandale, I wondered if you kind of rehearse for us what got us to this stage, the joy and the gratitude you have for the events that have led to this point. So, Karla?
I have gratitude for wonder. And if I tell you the whole journey, it'll take us till next week. But
okay, give me
maybe I can
pieces,
get you some highlights.
Parts.
So I sense God's wonder and joyful for how I experience God through you all and through beauty. And I think that you are beautiful. It's true. It's true. I think people are beautiful. I think they're made in God's image, so how could they not be? Because God is a thing of beauty. So my journey started here at Aldersgate a long, long time ago, in the last century. I was about 12 or 13 when we moved here, and I was a member of the youth group, and that's where I first began to connect. First began to really make a commitment in my faith to moving forward, and where I first experienced my call. And the call for me was never like a career plan. It was always like, just listen to God, and God will tell you what to do. And it's through prayer and discernment, the doors will open. And if I'm faithful, then I'll walk through the next door. So I didn't have like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or any of that. I just had a day-by-day thing where each day I got up and tried to live my life putting God first. And so that led me to a call to ministry and wanting to respond to God by working in the church. My role models at that time were there were no women in ordained ministry, so I knew that I wanted to work in the church, but I didn't exactly know where.
You could have gone into Christian education.
I could have, and that was certainly a consideration for me, but I decided that it didn't quite fit. And then when Lucretia Davis came as the first female associate here, I was like, oh, wow, clergywomen exist. Wow. So then I thought, well, that's exactly what I want to do.
So Aldersgate was early in accepting the ministry of women.
Yes, it was.
As being equal.
Yes, it was. That was like, back in the 70s, so that was a long time ago. And it was pretty remarkable that Aldersgate was as progressive as it was, opening the doors and supporting a woman who was interested in serving God through ordained ministry. So I'm grateful to this congregation for many things. I'm grateful for the way I have seen God work in your lives over the past 2 years. And also, I would peek in and out, hop in and out of this congregation on breaks.
Because your mom and dad were still here,
Right.
and you were in Chicago, and
Right.
you would come down
Yeah.
and be here for Christmas or Easter or summer break when you were
Right.
off school.
Right. So I'd come in and I get to hear great preaching and worship with you all, and it was wonderful. So I've had that long-term connection with this congregation. So for me, it doesn't really feel like it's just been 2 years. It feels like it's been a lifetime of being connected to you. So I want to say thank you for the privilege of now having served as your pastor for 2 years and seeing the good work that we've done together, seeing the introduction of the arts as a form of ministry here at Aldersgate with our altarscapes and the art that's hanging on the wall. I think that art is a marvelous way to experience God. We know God through truth, and we know God through goodness, and we know God through beauty. And art helps us experience God through beauty, which speaks to a deep soul level in so many of you, to have that connection with God through the beauty of the music, but also through the visual beauty. And it's been a privilege to introduce that to you all. And I know that we've got a group of women who will continue with that. Deborah Jones, Ruth Haney, Louise Williams, Colleen Walker, and Sylvia Picardy have all helped create these altars that express and proclaim God's beauty. And I know they're going to continue creating that.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for your contribution of beauty to this place. Thank you for the art that you've put up that has come from other places. This beautiful painting that's in the very back.
The baptism of Jesus.
The baptism of Jesus. It is one of 5 large panels. What I didn't know until this weekend was that you learned to do panels of that size when you were in the youth group here, and the church, in an attempt to reach the community, opened a coffee house.
Right.
Back before coffee was a big deal.
Right.
And you made posters based upon Max's design from the Yellow Submarine that were that size.
Right. There were 12-foot posters, and they adorned the walls of Founders Hall. And my favorite one was when we did the Yellow Submarine theme, and we had Beatles plastered all over Founders Hall. The Yellow Submarine and the blue meanies, and all of that was back in Founders. And for me, art's always been a way of praying. So when I paint, the same thing happens in my being that happens in prayer. So when I paint, it was like praying on the floor of Founders Hall as I had brushes in the hand. And that's really where my interest in the arts and spiritual formation began, that intersection between the two. So I'm really grateful for Aldersgate for giving me some kind of direction for planting that dream within me of what I might do and be when I grew up.
How have the 13 years been for you?
Terrible. Just awful.
I don't believe you. I remember you were part of confirmation class I helped teach when you were about 17 in Richmond. And then when you had finished your college work and seminary work, I invited you to become an associate here. Part of my motivation was you're married to Allie, and Allie was finishing up her law degree at Catholic U, but you were living in Southwest Virginia. And I thought that was just too long a trip, and I thought if you moved here, you could stay for at least 2 years, help Allie finish her degree with a shorter commute, and then you could go on to what you were doing next. I didn't know that we wouldn't be able to find a congregation in Virginia that would take you for 13 years.
He's speechless. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I don't even know what to say.
It's because you're going to be nice to me on your last Sunday, right? You've got all these thoughts running through your head you know you can't say.
Well, I was just so moved to that Andreas Barrett could be here on my last Sunday that my heart's heavy. No, it's been a great 13 years. It's been a surprising 13 years. yeah, it's funny to me how, God puts people in your life that you didn't anticipate that one day you would depend upon. That I think, like Cheryl read the line about, God will not let you stumble, however it goes. And that implies that, like, the narrator has experienced stumbling before and distress, and come out through it learning something. And so I think what matters over 13 years is that I've gotten to share in, the distress and the joy of your lives and in the lives in this community. And having been through distress of my own, I know what a sacred privilege that is, which I did not earn or deserve. And so I'm grateful to you all for giving me permission to be a part of your lives. So, yeah. I mean, I've been gone the last 2 weekends because I've done 2 weddings for 2 people here who were confirmands when I got here. And that's just, one of whom is now my sister-in-law. And she would not have met her husband now had we not done the toilet project. So, like, something as simple as a toilet in the narthex of the church gets me a sister-in-law out of this church, which is just like a funny thing. And I got to see Rob Hopper dance last weekend. And so I think that's capped off my experience at Aldersgate, watching him do the white man overbite. So it's been a good time.
I'm grateful for you helping to reinvent confirmation. So we went from 8-week class to a year-long study where youth got to experience what it is to be church, where they were moved beyond the pretense of pretending that everything's okay to the intimacy of relationships founded in the grace of Jesus Christ. I'm grateful for the mission projects that weren't simply doing good work in the world, but were grounded in the life of Christ so that people became participants in the very ministry of Jesus, even if they couldn't get all the words right, but you taught them the words so they could articulate their experience and rooted in this deep religious knowledge. Grateful for all the mission projects we've done. I've loved walking in and out of your office and sharing ideas of coming up with sermon series that we could do, of rearranging the church in ways that made it simpler, more transparent to the congregation, and be able to turn quickly on projects that we wanted to do. You're a remarkably gifted preacher. I've told people early on that you're among the finest preachers in the United States, and we are blessed to have you do your work among us. I remember when you first came, every Sunday somebody would go out of the church and tell me, I have no idea what he said. Because your style of preaching was more shaped by the experience of TV. And so you would create phenomenal scenes and then build almost no transition and do a fast cut to the next scene, and then go back to the first scene, and then use those 3 to illuminate the last scene. It took 4 years for people to figure out that you did that every week. But it's remarkable. It's been remarkable to watch your podcast develop, for you to become a national voice for a faithful Christian witness. You've brought some of the most brilliant minds in the country into Aldersgate and through your podcast. You've given us exposure to things we never would have had any other way. You are an incredible gift. Thank you. Karla, you are a phenomenal artist. I love the art that you have there. I love that you brought your work in local parishes, your work on college campuses, your work as a family mediator working with courts in Tennessee, your work as a seminary professor shaping young seminarians who will serve in local parishes, and your work of doing art all over the United States, doing installations like you've done here in conferences with 3,000 to 5,000 people. Your art is the thing that focused their attention upon God through the gift of beauty. And you have brought that same beauty here. Our hallways are now filled with art from within the church and your own art that you have gifted to us. Karla has been so kind as those 5 panels representing the ministry of Jesus She is gifting to Aldersgate Church. I know that there are churches all over the country who know your work, seminaries and colleges who would love to have that in their halls, and we are honored that you've given its final resting place to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karla.
Thank you. And I have one more gift. We've used this painting that I did some years ago on the altar. It is anthropomorphized. Yeah, I can't say that. It's I've taken God and made God human as an artist. God is a potter in this painting, creating the world like a potter would create a pot. So I'm leaving this as a symbol of the work that has begun here, the ministry that has begun here in the arts, and I'm trusting that that ministry will continue through the group of women and individuals who are finding meaning in meeting God through art. So this will rest on one of the walls here.
Thank you, Karla. Do you have trouble with goodbye? Some? Yeah, me too. The philosopher Winnie the Pooh said that I am blessed to have in my life something that is hard to say goodbye to. Saying goodbye is hard partly because it is releasing someone to a world that isn't always kind. I think if you both are under the sphere of Aldersgate, we'll be able to protect you, take care of you. Or if anything goes wrong, we'll be able to fix it. When you're no longer under our care, I have to trust you to God in a way I can't see. And that's just hard. The psalm we read, 121, 6 times in 8 verses says God will keep you. So that's what we're praying, that the care that we've been able to offer you now is going to be offered by God. But we know you're still going to be here, seated probably in that pew with your mom every Sunday.
At 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock. So we anticipate being with you.
Not on time, though.
Not on time. My mother's never on time. Ever.
You're going to throw your mother under the bus.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jason, is it all right if we visit you at Annandale?
No.
Are any of you going to listen to what he just said? No. No. So feel free. Enjoy Annandale a few times a year.
You can give to it every Sunday online if you would like to, though. It's fine with me.
The only time you ever mention money in church, it's about another church. Thank you, Jason. Okay, so what are you doing next?
What I'm doing next is immediately I'll be doing a summer camp for high school and college students at Simpson College in Indianola, Iowa. I said yes to this before I knew I was going to retire, and I'm delighted to be part of the faculty there. The camp is being held at the college where my husband was a chaplain and assistant professor when I met him. And we lived a block away from the campus right after we got married. So we get to go home. It's another full circle experience for me.
Just like you started at Aldersgate and you're ending at Aldersgate. And now you met your husband at this college campus and you get to go back and do a camp there.
Yeah.
Also, you went to Virginia Wesleyan.
I did go to Virginia
And
Wesleyan
last
for
month
college.
they invited you back and awarded you an honorary doctorate degree.
They did indeed.
To celebrate your ministry. It's a wonderful thing. You have a lot of completed circles.
It was a real gift of grace and quite an honor, and now that means I'm a doctor, so you can call me a paradox.
We're only laughing because it's your last Sunday. And being polite. Okay. So after you do the camp, you get some time off?
Right. We're taking the month of July, and we're going to spend it at the beach with our children and grandchildren. I'm going to get reacquainted with them because I haven't seen much of them for 2 years. And so that'll be just wonderful. I'm looking forward to hearing them laugh on the beach and looking forward to eating seafood with them. introducing them to seafood because they live in a landlocked state. I just, don't get that. But and then I want some more time with my husband. I'm going to be spending some time, like that second cup of coffee in the morning, where I don't have to don't have to hurry to get to the office. And we're going to explore our love of travel together. Got a couple of trips planned. I'll be doing some writing in retirement.
Work on a book, another book?
Work on another book.
You've got two. You have another coming?
Hopefully. We'll see. And
You've written tons of curriculum for the United Methodist Church, published incredible number of articles, a lot of it around the issues of spirituality and the arts and around mediation and reconciliation.
Yes, that's true. And so there's more within me to get out on the page, and I'll be teaching a couple of classes on a very part-time basis at the seminary where I taught prior to coming here.
You're moving to Chicago?
No, I'm moving to Chicago, but I do get to spend 2 weeks there teaching a class in January. Yeah, make me really glad that I live here in Virginia. So, yeah.
What's next for you?
Does
Annandale have any idea what's coming? There's a church not far from us, Annandale United Methodist, and Methodists have bishops who decide which pastor goes with which churches, and that's how the decision's made. It's not left to the congregation. We have influence, we can say what we want, but the bishop has final say. So the bishop has chosen you to be at Annandale, and Annandale to receive you as their pastor. So I'm just wondering if they know what's coming.
So it's funny, when we first met their HR committee in the church, they were acting really weird with Allie and me. And then it occurred to me that they didn't know whether I was the minister or whether Allie was the minister. They have no idea. I don't know. I start there July 1st. I've been told it's a church in conflict. And so they needed a pastor who doesn't usually provoke conflict but sues people.
They have no idea what's coming.
So obviously I'm the best fit for the...
I didn't realize how far the Methodist Church had fallen. Yeah.
So I really don't know. I start there. I don't know when we'll move. What I said in the last service is that what has turned out to be, I think, some of the most fruitful things that we've done together, and one of the most enjoyable things for me also are the things that kind of just spontaneously happened and weren't anticipated or planned out. And so whatever happens, I would expect that to be true as well.
Grace surprises, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have something I want to say.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you, Dennis. Thank you to you, Jason, for the privilege of being your colleagues during these 2 years and for the good ministry that we've done together. It's been an intense and joyful ride and a wonderful journey, and I am just very, very grateful to both of you for welcoming me and for the good work that we've done. And I'm also thankful to you all for allowing me to be your pastor for a couple of years. My heart is full of gratitude. I want to do a shout out to Steve Larkin and Richard Bass, who threw a terrific party last night for me, and it was a lot of fun. And thank you for the barbecue that's coming. Just thank you.
Leah Matthews is the chair of our leadership team that provides oversight for the congregation. And she has some thank yous she would like to offer as well. Hi, Leah.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good morning. I like that quote by Winnie the Pooh. Indeed, it sums up how I feel. Very, very blessed to know how sad I feel to see the two of you go. I also am reminded of a quote by Margaret Mead, and she wrote that never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever does. And when I look at Karla and Jason, I think of how they baptized our babies, and they confirmed our youth, and they married our loved ones, and comforted us when we were in sorrow. And all of that gratitude we want to return to you. We've had an outpouring of contributions to cover the costs of a trip for Karla to go to Iona and for Jason to go to the Holy Land. So our expression of our gratitude to you is to let you know how much you mean to us and to send you on your way to a wonderful journey. We hope you know how blessed we feel and that you're dearly loved.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Would you take a minute to thank Jason and Karla for their ministry at Aldersgate?
I'm glad I wore waterproof mascara.
That wasn't quite a minute.
Like you ever kept track of how long your sermons were, and now we're supposed to, okay. In the bulletin, the sermon is from Where Does My Help Come? And our help comes from the Lord. There's a prayer. Karla and Jason will say the first lines, and then we'll say that which is in bold print. Karla and Jason says the next, then we'll all pray together. Karla and Jason.
We thank you, the members and friends of Aldersgate United Methodist Church, for the love and support you have shown us while we have ministered among you. We are grateful for the ways our leadership has been accepted. We ask forgiveness for the mistakes we've made. As we leave, we carry with us all that we have learned here.
We receive your thankfulness and offer our forgiveness. Jason, we accept that you now leave to serve Annandale United Methodist Church and that Karla, you are retiring. We express our gratitude for your time among us. We ask your forgiveness for our mistakes. Your influence on our faith and faithfulness will not leave with your departure.
We accept your gratitude and forgiveness, and we forgive you, trusting that our time together and our parting are pleasing to God. We release you from turning to us as your pastors. We encourage your continuing ministry here, and will pray for you and for your new pastor, Emily Moore Diamond.
Let us pray.
Eternal God, whose steadfast love for us is from everlasting to everlasting, we give you thanks for cherished memories and commend one another into your care as we move in new directions. Keep us one in your love forever, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.